Hey everyone, welcome to today's webinar. My name is G or Gaurav, and I'm super excited about today's webinar just because I love Mbox. And that video was awesome, by the way. And I'm excited today that we're going to have Matt from the band as well, the lead singer, Amir Derakh as well, awesome engineer, and of course, John Whitcore, our product manager as well for Mbox. Welcome. we got there. All good, John. First of all, just want to say hello. I'm excited for today's webinar, just as you are. I know there's a lot to talk about, John.
A lot of stuff to talk about. Yep.
Exactly.
So, hello everybody. My name is John Whitcore. I'm the Senior Product Manager and Product Designer for Mbox Studio and the Mbox control software we're going to be seeing today. Super excited to be joining everybody here today for our first official Mbox Studio webinar. So let's get it kicked off. So Mbox is a product I personally have quite a bit of experience with, having been around for the launch of the original Mbox 20 plus years ago. And I know I am dating myself, but the most amazing part of that launch was seeing the incredible positive impact that Mbox made on the creative world by introducing a whole new generation of music creators, producers, and audio engineers to the world of Pro Tools and digital recording at home. And I know several of those up-and-coming creators at the time have now become Grammy winners today and are still using Pro Tools. So that's pretty cool legacy. So today, Avid still offers affordable versions of Pro Tools, but we haven't had a hardware product in a price range of Mbox for quite a few years now. And anybody wanting to record their instrument, whether or not you're a singer, guitar player, cowbell player, whatever you play, you still need an audio interface to be able to capture that performance and to pair up with Pro Tools or whatever other audio application you may be using to capture those performances. So a lot of audio interface options out there in the market, as we know. But it was my vision to create a new generation of Mbox that brings the professional level recording capabilities that Avid is so well known for to the personal space, but importantly at an affordable price. So I introduce Mbox Studio, and as I like to say, this is not your parents' Mbox, and it's way more than just an audio interface. So as I mentioned, it was important to me to bring Avid's professional level of quality to this next generation of Mbox, but it was equally important to create a system that's flexible, feature-laden, and can truly become the hub of your creative space. So I will say there are several things that make the Mbox Studio special, and the vast amount of connectivity here that you can see in this slide is one of them. You can study this for a little bit and kind of see all the cool things you can do with it. But it's also a full-featured monitor controller with speaker switching, which allows you to check your mixes on multiple sets of speakers, which is super important, and analog and digital speakers both, as well as Bluetooth devices. So you can check your mixes on AirPods or portable Bluetooth speaker, or even your car stereo if you're Bluetooth enabled and parked close enough to your Mbox. Which is, again, super important to be able to make sure that your mixes sound good on those mediums that everybody listens to nowadays. You have all the control you'd expect in any kind of monitor controller, including you get mute, dim, mono. You have built-in talkback, so you can communicate with your studio talent. And then you can add to that 2 independent headphone outputs with the ability to have separate cue mixes. And access to onboard Avid effects, so you can inspire great performances. And again, it truly becomes a fully featured studio monitoring and personal monitoring solution. And since the Mbox Studio has a persistent mixer, which means those mixer settings are saved inside of the Mbox Studio, once you set it up with the Mbox control software, you can use Mbox Studio as a standalone monitor controller without the need to boot up your computer. So it really has a lot of power there for monitoring. Now, High sound quality is something else you'd expect in a professional piece of gear from Avid, and Mbox Studio delivers on that. Utilizing the same world-class mic preamps that we use in our Venue S6L live console there, as well as the Pro Tools Carbon and Carbon pre-systems. We've also included variable impedance circuits on the inputs to expand tonal possibilities for both mic and instrument inputs. And depending on the mic, it may respond differently to certain impedances. So for example, a ribbon mic will typically be looking for a higher impedance input than say a dynamic mic. But if you run like a large diaphragm condenser mic at a lower impedance, it may make it sound darker, which opens up a whole new set of sonic possibilities from just a single mic. So now one mic becomes many. So guitar is something near and dear to my heart. So guitar is very, very important to me. And the way a guitar sounds and also feels relies on input impedance. And it's dependent on the guitar, and it's dependent on the first device that's in your signal chain. So is it a stomp box? What type of stomp box is it? Is it a wah pedal, a fuzz, a distortion pedal? Is it going into an amp? What type of amp is it? So since many plugins are designed to emulate their hardware counterparts, you can take advantage of the variable impedance feature on the instrument inputs in order to match the feel and tone of what it's like to be playing into the real thing that's being emulated. And again, I emphasize feel because it's such an important thing to a guitar player, how it actually feels and how it responds, how that amp simulator responds to your playing, to your guitar, to your pickup. All right, so this is a little Easter egg I just want to mention here real quick. So Mbox Studio, as you may have seen in our marketing documentation, is that has 4 mic inputs on it. And they're variable impedance mic inputs with phantom power and everything else you'd expect. And again, there are the same mic inputs that we use on Carbon and Venue S6L. First 2 can also be instrument inputs, but we also have 4 additional line inputs. And the really rad thing about these 4 line inputs is they have 60 dB of digital gain range. And they have the ability to run dynamic mics directly into them. Anything that doesn't require phantom power, because these inputs don't have phantom power. But that gives us the ability to run 8 mic level signals directly into Mbox Studio. So perfect for recording drums or doing large podcasts. So, I mean, with Mbox Studio, you can truly bring the whole band. All right, some other things I just want to mention here. We have a high Z output with a ground lift for reamping guitars, and that's one thing Amir is going to be talking to us about here in a little bit, which I'm super stoked about. Or you can even run drums or drum loops or anything else you want to record through a drum amp. You can actually get some really, really cool sounds by reamping drum loops or even vocals through a guitar amp. There's a built-in instrument tuner. There's 4 dual function color coded user action buttons that you can assign to different functions and really kind of customize the surface to your workflow. There's also 2 external foot switch expression pedal inputs on the back of Mbox Studio for similar type of control, or you can even map them to like Pro Tool or plugin parameters. So if you have like an expression pedal that you want to control a filter sweep with, or a wah pedal, you can do that by just plugging directly into the back of Mbox Studio. Additional connectivity, we have coax SPDIF I/O. There's optical I/O, which can either be ADAT or SPDIF. A pair of external effects loops for integrating external effects. And a super cool thing about these effects loops is that the sends can be switched to high Z impedance. So, which means they can be used with guitar stomp boxes. So if you're like me and own a million guitar stomp boxes, you can take these things and connect them to Mbox Studio, and you can use them in your Pro Tools workflow as hardware inserts, and you'll be matching the correct impedance that they're looking for. So not only can you use Mbox Studio with Pro Tools, which it does come bundled with Pro Tools, but it works with virtually any other audio application out there. So if you're using Logic, if you're using Cubase, Reaper, Studio One, Ableton, it works with all of them. And it also works on both Mac and Windows platforms. All right, so want to just give you a quick sneak peek of the Mbox control application. So this is what comes with the Mbox Studio package. This is your gateway to everywhere. It interfaces Mbox Studio with your audio application of choice. Hopefully it's Pro Tools. But since it's a USB interface, it's going to be audio latency and delay when you monitor your signal through your DAW, no matter if you're using Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, any other DAW out there. So it's not really the best workflow to use when you're tracking to monitor through your DAW. Now, the ultimate solution for Pro Tools users is investing in a system like Pro Tools Carbon, where we integrate DSP directly into the Pro Tools ecosystem for tracking. So latency becomes much less of an issue. With a USB system, though, like Mbox Studio, we need to handle tracking workflows a little differently. So what we've done is we've incorporated an operating mode inside of Pro Tools called low latency monitoring. And enabling this option mutes the output of any track that you record enable. And by doing so, you won't hear the latency of your recorded audio as it travels across the USB path through the Pro Tools mixer. So think of it like a bad, Zoom or cell phone connection where you're hearing yourself echo. That's what you'll get when you monitor through your DAW, but you won't get that with this direct monitoring. So when you use Mbox control application to track, instead you hear the direct signal you're recording with no delay. And then you can use the Mbox Studio onboard processing to add low latency Avid effects like reverb, or the good type of delay that we like to hear, like the modulation effect, as well as channel EQ and soft limiting. The Mbox control allows you to mix these direct signals along with your Pro Tools playback tracks, any of the available hardware outputs on Mbox Studio. So each output can have its own mix. So a singer can have a different mix from a guitar player. Something that may inspire them more to get a better performance. And the way that you mix the separate outputs is it's all point and click color coded. You simply click on the output you want to mix for, and then the faders change colors, and then you mix for that particular output. In the top menu, you notice in this slide here, in the top menu of the Mbox control app, you have access to your assignments for your user action buttons. You can save user presets for the mixer as well and recall them with a click. You'll also see monitoring controls, which are available in the software as well. And you can pop the monitor section out. That's in the lower left-hand corner there of the Mbox control screen. And you can use it as a floating window, which has always on top behavior. So if you're in Pro Tools or whatever other audio application you're in, you can have that as a floating window and have access to all those monitoring controls at a click. Last thing I want to mention is that we've also included loopback functionality, which allows you to route audio from one application directly into another. So, for example, like a web conferencing app application, if you want to record that into Pro Tools, maybe for like a podcast, or anything else you may want to use it for from another, maybe a creative audio application, you want to stream that audio into Pro Tools. You can also, another thing to mention is you can also record calls from your phone, so from your iPhone or Android device in a similar way using the Bluetooth input option. So by Bluetoothing your phone to the Mbox Studio, you can just record that directly into Pro Tools. So Mbox Studio comes with a hardware interface. I just kind of talk about what's actually in the box that the Mbox comes in. You get the Mbox control application, which I was just talking about. You get a year subscription to Pro Tools Studio. You get a year subscription to Sibelius Artist. And if you're, again, a guitar player, Sibelius Artist actually does guitar tab, which is a really cool thing. And you also get the Mbox Studio Ignition Pack, which includes a healthy bundle of premier third-party plugins from Plugin Alliance, Baby Audio, Gauge, and BPM Create. So you kind of get everything right out of the box to really get rolling. Again, Mbox Studio hardware, it really replaces the need to have a dedicated monitor controller or a personal monitoring system, as well as a reamp box if you're doing reamp type workflow. And each one of those devices could easily cost $300 on their own. So quite a bit of value built into the Mbox Studio. So at this point, I know that was a lot of information. A good thing we're recording this because you can go back and rewatch it if you want. But I'd like to turn it back over to G, and I think we're going to be talking to Matt from one of my favorite bands, Your Favorite Color.
Hey, John, that was amazing. As you were speaking now, I realized how much stuff is actually in that box. There's a lot. And Bluetooth, as I've said before, is definitely my favorite. It works amazingly. But yeah, no, thank you, John. That was amazing. So actually, we're going to have an Amir before Matt. So Amir, we're going to bring in Amir first to do a bit of a demo. Amir, first of all, welcome to this awesome webinar for Mbox. Super excited to have you here. We've spoken a lot, and obviously you've been on tour. But I always give an introduction, but I want to hear you give a little bit of an introduction to yourself, Amir. Tell the world who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm Amir Derakh. I've been playing guitar for most of my life. I'm a guitar player first, but I'm also a producer, engineer, and mixer. I've been doing that for probably about half my life. I've always been involved with all the bands that I've been in over the years, whether it be, in the beginning, demoing, to, taking the role as producer and things like that over the years with my band Orgy, which is where I first started using versions of Pro Tools. And I've been a Pro Tools supporter ever since. It's my favorite DAW. So what I like to say is, my day job is kind of working with other bands, producing and mixing, and that's what I did with Your Favorite Color. And my night job is being like a rock star and touring and playing with my own band Julien-K. Excuse me. And so, Your Favorite Color was a band that we have actually signed to our label Framework. And they're a great bunch of kids. I love what they're doing, and we all thought that this would be an amazing pairing to put all of this together. This was a track that I had helped record some things on it and also mixed it, but it was basically started by the boys. I know we talked about this briefly, but I'll just make it quick. They went in and recorded the drums, and then a lot of the other stuff was done after, like the vocals. I reamped the bass, we redid the guitars, we overdubbed some keyboards and all that. And some of the things that I wanted to talk about with the Mbox is like, one of my favorite features on it. There are many features on it that I think are super cool. But one of them is that you can reamp. Which is great because typically I've always had to have a separate little box, little transformer to do all that kind of stuff. And basically you can do that with this. And so I was going to show that briefly because I know that, with a lot of the bands that I work with and people, a lot of times they don't seem to really understand what reamping is. And so I thought it might be fun to kind of show the bass reamping, the way that I did it for the song or whatever, using the Mbox. And I basically have the session here opened up, showing the bass tracks, which are blue, or the kind of purpley, almost kind of Avid colors. Right down here. This is the DI. So basically, reamping is taking a signal. It can be a DI, but it could also just be anything, like John had said earlier. It could be a drum sound, it could be a guitar sound, it could be a vocal, and you can take that signal out of, on the Mbox here, right here, this output right here, you can take that out, or even in the back, and run it into a guitar pedal if you want. So if you've got some crazy reverb pedal or whatever it is and you want to use it on the vocals, you can totally do it with this, which is amazing because it's got stereo inputs as well. I mean, you could go stereo out, stereo in even, into some kind of guitar pedal or whatever it is, and then you could put that on the vocal or on anything else. But the other thing I do a lot, and I've been doing this for years, probably 15 or 20 years, when I record guitars and bass, I always record a DI, which is literally just the direct signal out of the guitar into Pro Tools, basically, into its own track, separate. If you're recording an amp or any of that as well there, it's separate from that. And the beauty of that is that I'm never stuck with a tone. Now, of course, it creates what do you call it? Option anxiety, sorry. Because sometimes you can go, you know, bananas with that. But the ability to kind of do that later. So a lot of times what I like about that is you're really just getting the performance. You know, you'll record the artist playing an instrument, and you can use a plugin just to get some sort of a relative tone. But you're really just getting the DI. And then you don't have to worry about the sounds when you're getting the performance. It's way less time consuming for the artist. You just get the performance, and then I can go later and experiment with the sounds. You can also record a sound while you're doing it too, and maybe that's the one, and maybe you don't need to reamp it, but you have that ability later to do that. Most of the time now though, I just get DIs on everything. And I don't even let them worry about it. Let me worry about it. You know, let me get the sound. So let me just quickly show that. Let me switch my screen here. So I don't know if you can see this, but you have to create an output. So you go here to output, and I'm picking the Mbox output, which is number 8, I believe, is what's on the front. So that's creating a send, basically. That now is coming out here in the front to this 1/4 inch guitar cable. And what I'm sending is just the DI of the bass. And then that's going directly into this vintage Ampeg B15 amp, which I then have a mic on it, a nice RE20, which is my favorite bass amp mic. And then that mic is being plugged directly into the front of the Mbox, which then I can control the input level, which you can see right here. I'm on mic. There's the input level. And if I hit play now, we should actually hear the bass. So what's happening here, as you can see, is that DI is acting almost like the player himself is playing this part, but he's not here. It's like magic. I love it. And that's going into the amp, and now I can tweak the tone of the amp, or let's say maybe I want to use the Gretsch bass amp instead. You know, so I'll record the Ampeg, and then I'll record the Gretsch super bass. And maybe I'll record an SVT or whatever else. And now I have these options that I can listen to as the mix comes together. Well, this one might sound great now, but maybe the SVT is better when the mix comes together. So now I've got all these options I can check out. And, you know, I didn't have to bother Matt or anybody in the band. It's just done. You know, like they don't have to deal with this. Of course, they can say, well, I don't like that bass tone. But then I can just go straight back and say, okay, well, what about this bass tone? Because I've already recorded 3 others, which is pretty fun. So I also really dig that there's actually a tuner right on the front. So if I put this, I can show you, like, you can see the note. That's so cool. So, I mean, I love that feature. It's just got a tuner right there. And then on top of that, you've got this, this button that opens the app. Let me show you that. So there's a button right here on top of the Mbox. And when you just push that, it basically opens this app. I'm not sure if you can see this very well, but down here on the send here, there's a ground lift button. And if I take that off, hopefully you can hear that the bass amp is making some noise. Because a lot of times you get ground loops with all of this kind of stuff when you have this much studio equipment. So it's really nice that they've built that in there. That's actually a really important feature for reamping. You can also assign one of these hotkeys can also be assigned to turn that on and off, as well as like a million other things you can do with these. So that's, you know, really cool. But anyway, that's just a little simple demo of reamping on the Mbox.
I mean, that was awesome. Honestly, I love that. I mean, thank you so much for showing us as well. That was really, really useful. John, did you want to did you want to come on maybe and show anything else, or was that kind of everything covered for the demo side?
Amir, anything else you want to talk about?
Well, you know, I think there are other little things that have to do a little more with Pro Tools. I don't know if we want to cover that, but I typically tune the bass in Melodyne. And when you buy, you know, the Mbox, or you buy Pro Tools Studio, I think, or any of the better ones, it actually comes with Melodyne now, which is really cool. I think it comes with Essential. Is that correct?
I think it's Essential, right? Yeah.
Right. So what's cool about that is you know, bass almost always is sharp. Because when the player's playing it, you know, they push on it or the string gets bent, it's always really hard to get it in tune. Now you can always tune it a little flat. That's kind of the old school trick. But it's always a little bit sharp to everything, especially when you're doing like really drop tuning. So, you know, the guitars can be way up here and the bass could be like a 5-string or lower, and they're really far apart. So the tuning can definitely get a bit wonky. And I do a lot of that kind of music where things are tuned really low. So one of the things I've been doing, and I can show you here, is, you know, there's a very easy way to, you know, tune the bass. It's a very easy way to tune the bass if you want, using Melodyne. I don't know if you want me to go into actually recording something to show how it's done, but it's probably already been tuned, but it's a pretty simple procedure. You basically just record into Melodyne, and then there's a window here that called macros, and you go to correct pitch, and you have a little percentage window, and you can actually see when you record something that, you know, the notes typically are always a little sharp, and as soon as you start correcting it, it pulls the bass notes down, and then I'll just process the whole channel. It's really great that this comes now. I mean, this is part of Pro Tools. It's amazing. Like, I mean, we've had this for years, but now to have it integrated like this, you know, of course I tune all these bass tracks, and it just, the whole thing just always sounds better anytime you do that. It's just a very slight amount usually, but it makes a big difference. So I'm not going to sit here and go through actually doing it. It's actually quite easy, but you have to record into it. So I'm not going to do that right now, but something that you should definitely try.
Yeah, and anyone out there who wants to watch anything on ARA, on Pro Tools, we do have another webinar that you can check out, and tons of content online as well. So just head over and write in Pro Tools ARA. Amir, thank you so much. That was awesome.
So, Amir, I have a question. Actually, a couple of questions.
Awesome.
So, talking about sound quality, what are your first impressions on sound quality of Mbox Studio?
So far, it sounds great. I mean, I ran it through some other, the way that I used to or whatever, and kind of A/B'd it. I mean, it sounds great. It sounds pretty much identical. I mean, because I re-recorded the bass just to go like, hey, what does it sound like? And it actually sounds great. It sounds pretty much the same. Sounds just like what I had. So I think considering, I mean, I kind of feel like this Mbox. I know I've said this a few times, but I feel like it's kind of the Swiss Army knife of audio interfaces right now. It just it really covers so many bases. I mean, of course you get a few inputs, but you also have the option of the ADAT inputs and the SPDIF and all of that there, so you can actually get even more channels if you have some sort of a digital mixer that can plug into this. I mean, the Bluetooth thing is super fun. I mean, that just I can just so many things you could do with that. That's really amazing. I love all these presets that you can save. I love the tuner. I love the instant access to the app. But what's really great too is the being able to have two sets of monitors on a push of a button. It's not just one set, it's two, just like what I use and what most people use. And then you also have two sets of headphones that are independent as well. You have all the usual stuff to control the monitors, but this stuff's important, the dim, the mute, the mono, and having the talkback too. I mean, it just kind of really is a Swiss Army knife, and with the reamp, and I mean, it's kind of amazing for the money. I think you guys knocked it out of the park with this.
What do you think of the build quality?
I
Feels
think it's great. I mean, it feels like it's like a piece of military gear. It's solid. I like that about it. I mean, I'm sure some people would say, well, it's a little heavy, maybe you don't, but I think that's good though. It doesn't feel flimsy, it feels solid, like a real professional piece of equipment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amir, so we're just going to wrap up on the questions.
Mhm.
But what's kind of next for Amir and Julien-K?
Actually, well, so we're Ryan, the singer of Julien-K, who was also the guitar player of Orgy, is also the singer of Edema. So we have a pretty full plate coming up. We're going to be finishing new music for Julien-K, heading towards a new album, finishing a new album for Edema. So I produce and mix all of this stuff. We've got all the bands that we're working with on our label Framework, where I'm doing a lot of mixing, recording, and producing with these bands, and then the release schedule of that. We have tours for next year. Edema's already got a tour coming together. It's looking like Julien-K is going to have a couple later this summer or later in the year. So pretty full plate of stuff. I can't complain. I'm really grateful. I'm also very grateful to be finally working with Avid. I mean, I've been using Pro Tools for, like I said, pretty much since it started. So I'm really stoked that all of this has come together.
We're definitely glad to be working with you as well. Thank you, Amir. I'm going to now bring on Matt from the band. So Matt, if you want to turn your camera on.
Hey, how's it going, Can you guys hear me and see me okay?
Yep, I definitely
Okay.
can. How you doing, Matt?
Hey, I'm doing super good. Thank you guys
Yeah.
so much for having me today.
Thank you for your time, man. I'm
Yeah,
super
yeah.
excited to talk to you. So we're going to go back a little bit. And again, Matt, I want you to introduce yourself and the band to everyone out there.
Yeah.
Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm Matt. I'm in the band Your Favorite Color. I was the one in the video earlier, and that was our latest song called Never Let You Go that we just released. Was super happy to have it be able to be a part of this Avid project. We've been a band doing indie music here in like Huntington Beach for about 5 years now, and we've worked a lot independently, and just we a big part of our growth has been figuring out how we can like learn to record music as much as we can on our own. It just kind of gives us freedom, and so this was just like Amir said, and I think this was just a perfect mix, being able to be a part of this Mbox project. So yeah, we've been a band for like 5 years now, and we're just continuing to grow, and we're all just here in Huntington Beach having a good time, and doing the best we can.
Nice, nice. And in the band, how many of you are there, Matt? Sorry, is it 5?
Yeah, 5. So we got Matt for me, and then we also have another Matt who is our drummer. We got Trent Leach on bass, David Silvera on guitar, and then we have Nikki Neighbors who plays our keyboard.
Okay, awesome. And a lot of the stuff is done obviously with Amir.
Yes.
Right. So Amir would be mainly engineering or mixing or tracking. What's kind of the relationship there?
We've been massaging it over the past few years now. I think like when Amir and I first started working together, or Your Favorite Color, and Amir and Ryan started doing stuff together, it was us coming into their studio and kind of rewriting or just completely writing demos from the ground up, recording them, mixing them, like pretty much the whole process they were along for the ride for. As time has gone on, we've kind of learned that we kind of like to give ourselves a bunch of time to sit and kind of like let song ideas simmer, just give us all the experimental time in the world that we need to record and get things maybe just the way we want them. And then when we need Amir to come like revamp it to the whole next level, we'll come to him with as much stuff that we recorded on our own, and he'll just kind of bring it to that next level, using, Avid Pro Tools and the technology that he has. So yeah, that's kind of like we'll try to do as much as we can on our own, and then we'll bring it to Amir, and then he'll kind of mix, produce, and put it all together.
Nice, nice. And I know when we first, because we spoke on a project a while ago, I remember it was kind of a couple of months ago, we said, look, we want to do a video. And then we sent the Mbox over to you. What was your initial thoughts when you and the band kind of got the unit? As a band, it's important to have the latest technology, of course. And well, we sent you something that wasn't even out. So what was your initial thoughts?
I mean, we thought we thought it was really cool. I mean, we got really excited. I mean, obviously Pro Tools is like a renowned name, and we're like, Jesus, like we're just getting this awesome stuff from Pro Tools, and we get to like mess around with it and play with it. I mean, right off the bat, as soon as we turned it on, I was just like, I know we had to keep it on the down low, but I just sent the pictures to all the band, and we were all just like psyching over it, and Amir was psyching over it, and it just looks really good. Like Amir said, it feels like a military box. It's got like nice weight to it. It looks super professional. I'm like, Mom, Dad, like come check this out. Like, so yeah, we were all really excited. I mean, just turning it on, seeing all the lights light up. I mean, it looks appealing for sure. So right off the bat, we were excited.
Oh, nice. And when you were setting up, because I know you set up for the second part of the video, so you had 2 locations. One was obviously in the studio, one was on Huntington Beach. Is that right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How easy was it when you were setting up? Like, did everything kind of run smoothly and you guys were kind of all good?
Yeah, for sure. It was really nice. It was really smooth. And it was actually very just true to how we operate. I mean, like I said, we try to do as much as we can on our own. And when that comes to like recording, sometimes we're at my house. Sometimes we're at Nikki, our keyboardist's house. Sometimes we need to go to the scooter shop where we actually recorded the video. We need to be moving around a lot just because, maybe we just like the atmosphere of working at Nikki's house better that day. Or maybe we want to try to capture some ambience in the scooter shop with like like the cement ground or whatever. In the past, it's been kind of a pain in the butt to like lug around a bunch of big gear. I think like that's has always been a little bit of a pain in the butt, but then it's like, oh, just grab this little box, throw it in your backpack, and we're good. Let's just go. It's just kind of immediately eliminated that step, that extra step that we usually need to take. So yeah, super good, smooth.
That's good. That's really good to know, because obviously as a band, like I said, it's so important to have your audio tech running smoothly, and of course have the latest tech, and it works well. So that's really refreshing to hear. Love that.
For sure. On top of that, I just want to say that it's so important having us not have to think about what we're doing when we're writing and like recording as much as we possibly can. Like it just disrupts the creative flow. So like the more steps you can eliminate and just kind of make this technology just an extension of your creativity, the better. And I feel like this was definitely like the best step we've ever taken to that. So just wanted to say that.
Awesome. Thank you, Matt. And then another question that I had really was, The Mbox has a lot of features, as you know. There's
Yeah.
a lot to dive into. But what was your favorite feature so far, or kind of at the shoot, or when you were playing with the device, when you were with Amir? What's something that really stood out to you as a band, or even yourself as a singer?
To be completely honest, the thing that jumped out to me right off the bat, and it was also the most intimidating thing off the bat because I didn't really understand it, but it was the Bluetooth feature. I'm like, how does the Bluetooth work? Like how do you connect your DAW and your project to your headphones, like your AirPods,
Yeah.
and then be able to switch from like your monitors to your AirPods immediately. I was like, how the hell is that going to work? But then actually just giving it a try, I was like, oh, that was really easy. Like all of a sudden I just click a button, turn on my phone, and now my AirPods are connected. And that is super exciting for me because whenever we want to do like car checks or check on the headphones, which is the way most people do listen to music nowadays, I always have to like bounce it, send it to my phone. My phone gets backed up with a bunch of like just a bunch of memory and data just from sending songs so back and forth. So the fact that I can just do it right there, again, it just eliminates that step. It's so important to make sure the songs sound just as good on the AirPods as they do in the monitors. And so just being able to click back and forth on that is a really big deal. And then also being able to use the Bluetooth the other way around, being able to actually play something off my phone and have it immediately get recorded as I'm pressing play, was a really big deal. I mean, rather than having to go online and, go to YouTube and try to like download an MP3 file and then like find a way to get it in there and like download it the right way, I can just press record and I'm sampling whatever I can play on my phone immediately. So that was like that kind of like blew all of our minds in the band. I was like, God, dude, guys, come look at it. I was like shaking everyone's shoulder. They don't really do as much of the recording as me, so they're kind of like, oh, that's cool. But I'm like psyching. So yeah.
Totally. I'm going to say my next question was literally on the Bluetooth on the interface. So you kind of answered that really well. But I think, as you said, it's so important, especially with this kind of modern era of music. We all, I mean, I can't say we all, but I definitely listen to AirPods. So do my friends. So for me, it's like I always want to listen to something, and it's just so quick now that I just put them on, press a button, and I'm listening to them there, and then flick back onto my monitor. It's just so simple.
Yeah, I wanted to add something to that real quick, if you don't mind. But one of the things that always happens is like, because we're always working with different artists, and even if we do something on our own, they walk in the studio and they're like, hey, can I play you something?
Oh yeah.
And it's always like with an iPhone, right? You've got it. Oh, where's the dongle? You got to find the stupid dongle. I mean, all these things use dongles. It's so annoying, right? I mean, this is like the biggest blunder ever, in my opinion. But you got to find the dongle, and then you got to find the adapter cord, and then you got to plug it in, and then either you got to put it into a mic pre, or you got to hopefully have on something where you can plug in an external. I mean, it's just way too much stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like someone's excited, they want to play it for you right away. With this, you can just connect to the Bluetooth, just like you would a pair of headphones or whatever, and immediately listen to what they want to play you. Like that, to me, is super smart.
Amir, that was my inspiration for adding that. Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, we should make a thing. Just say no to dongles. Like the round circle with the line through it. No dongles. Anyway, I just wanted to add that.
I think that's perfect. And Matt, you could probably. I mean, I've definitely been in that situation before many times where I've been the guy without the dongle. I walked in and gone, you know what? I give up now.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah. So Matt, I'm just going to touch on a few things, and we're going to head over to a bit of a Q&A.
Sure thing.
So have you, because I know you've been quite busy with the band, of course, and there's a lot going on. Have you since then recorded with the Mbox? Have you tried it out? Tell me more about the Mbox and how it's been recording. How has the sound quality been? Because I know obviously sound quality is so important. That song that we heard on the video sounds amazing. So tell me how important is sound quality as well when you're recording with the Mbox?
Yeah, for sure. It is, the quality is really important. I think again, a key part of recording independently is like cool. You get the ups and you get like the upside of being able to have all the freedom you want to record whenever you want, and you get to sit on things. But at the end of the day, if you're recording something and I bring it to Amir, who's like doing the top-notch stuff, it's going to be a lot of extra work for him if our stuff is not up to par with like what he's doing. So it's really important that we get it as quality as it would be for him if he were to do it by himself. And I think it's just been seamless. It transfers over perfectly. I think Amir has been, happy with what we've given him. At least I hope so, Amir. And then, so it's been really great. Yeah, the quality is perfect. I don't have any. If there are any issues, my ear can't pick it up.
Love that. No, thank you, Matt. And then the last one that I've got is from you and the band. Kind of what's next? Where can people find you? And what's takes by what you can say.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, please let us know.
Yeah. So right now, we're just in the middle of we're trying to record an album right now. We did just release our latest single called "Never Let You Go." That is just going to be the start. That is the song that we used for the video. That is like the song that Amir produced and engineered for us. And so we're just getting that story started with the album. And we have a lot more songs that we're in the middle of recording. So we are just kind of like putting our heads down, trying to get it done as quickly as we can. And, I think the Mbox is actually going to make it a lot easier now. So yeah, I think the album's going. We're going to be trying to just play a lot of shows in the OC, LA, San Diego area. So if you ever want to follow us on like Instagram or TikTok, it's either like at YFC the band or at your favorite color the band. Please give us a follow. And if you see that we're playing around, please come say hi. And we'd love to, jam out with you. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again for having your favorite color be a part of this. We've had a great time.
We love it. And it was a perfect song and band for the video. So thank you.
No problem.
Cool. Matt, so John and Amir, do you want to maybe come on? And we've got a bit of a Q&A. So I'm going to just bring up some questions and then maybe I'll direct them at who I think they might be directed at, but feel free to kind of chime in if you want to add some bits as well. So the first one is, first of all, I just want to say massive thank you to the Avid staff who are kind of monitoring all the chats as well for us. Thank you. We do have a few questions. The first one is from YouTube Pro Tools. So John, I think this might be to you. So with the high gain inputs, would that mean you could plug in a short SM7B without a cloud lifter?
Yes. Yep. Absolutely. That'll work.
Perfect. Cool. Did you want to add anything else on that, John? Or was that pretty much done?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah.
Cool. So the Mbox Studio comes with a 12-month subscription to Studio. If you have an existing perpetual license and an active update plan, can this be exchanged for an update plan subscription?
It will be a new subscription, but if you have an existing subscription to Studio, you have the option to extend that existing subscription. Or if you have an existing subscription to Ultimate, you can extend that another 3 months. So it basically takes the value of the Studio subscription and turns it into an Ultimate, but it is subscription.
I actually just did that, and it was pretty seamless. So it just extended my thing for a year.
Awesome.
Perfect. Awesome. So we have one from Facebook. So we love the videos from TJ. Any more training videos coming out, especially for vocals? So John, we definitely should be coming up, right? You probably know more, but
yeah, Gil and TJ did an amazing job on those videos. Just a shout out to those guys. There is another video actually that TJ is working on right now. It's super secret, but be on the lookout for it.
Nice. Yeah, I think there'll be a lot more stuff. Kind of a lot with.
Everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. So this is the Mbox control application, and it is a control application. So it's controlling what's happening inside of the Mbox Studio. So there's processing in the Mbox Studio that's running the Avid effect algorithms, that's handling the mixing, because you can have independent mixes for all these outputs. And everything else that's going on inside of Mbox Studio is kind of controlled from this application. So um, the way that you set up your inputs, because your inputs show up on this top row of faders here, right? So here's my Bluetooth input, my SPDIF input, all my other inputs. The way you set this up, whenever you boot everything down, so you close this application, turn your computer off, all of that is saved inside of the Mbox Studio. So if you have things coming in, maybe you're using like a Kemper, guitar processor, and you have it plugged in via coax SPDIF. Well, that would show up here. And since this fader is at unity, whenever you play it, it'll still pass right through the Mbox Studio. And then you can use that large right encoder to still control the output level going to your speakers. So all the controls that you have actually on the Mbox Studio, like output controls, speaker switching, the muting, the dim, all of that stuff still works. And even the gain, like gain controls and things for microphones, if you have microphones plugged in. So that's really how you use it. And again, if you're streaming Bluetooth from your phone, maybe you don't want to boot up your computer, to just jam to some tracks or something. Well, you can play the tracks, stream them from your phone Bluetooth, and then you can just plug your guitar in and go, and not even have to boot up the computer.
So the Mbox has DSP built in for the effects that work in the app. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's processing in the box, and we're running a delay and a reverb algorithm, and these are actual Avid algorithms. They come directly from Avid AAX plugins, so they sound fantastic. So yeah, if you want to add some reverb to one of the headphone mixes, and you can see I'm clicking on the output tile, and the faders change color, because that's telling me that now I'm mixing for this specific output. So if you want, you can just add the effects to just the headphone outputs. And yeah, that processing is all done directly inside of the Mbox Studio. And the same thing for the EQ, is you have a channel EQ on 4 bands of parametric EQ on each channel, and just by clicking on the input channel, it focuses that channel into this channel focus section, and then you can tweak the EQ on that channel, and that processing is all done inside of the Mbox Studio.
Oh, that's cool. I know there were a lot of questions about that. I saw online that people were like, is there the processing for the effects that are in the Avid, this Mbox app or whatever, is that actually the processing actually in the Mbox, or is that still working off the computer? Which I thought was an interesting question myself. I was curious.
Yeah, I mean that's the really the great thing when you're tracking, is that you have all this direct monitoring control and all these effects that are running on the Mbox Studio, so you're not dependent upon your computer or having to run everything through your DAW when you're tracking, and you can get super low latency monitoring.
Someone is also asking, can I record the reverb and the delay into Pro Tools?
Not you could, if you routed it externally. There's not an easy way really to do that. It's really meant for more for confidence monitoring. But these algorithms are the same as some of our plugins, so they'd be super easy to recreate inside of Pro Tools.
John, just a quick one actually, while you got the app up. Is there a way that we can see how easy it is to create the kind of user action buttons for kind of like a filter?
Yeah, sure. So I mean these are our four buttons, and you can see there's two actions for each button. So there's a push action and then there's a push and hold, right? So like on the first button here, I have high pass filter on off selected for my push action, and then I have group monitor outputs selected for my push and hold. And you can assign a color to the button. So how this thing looks is completely up to you. You can have it lit up like a Christmas tree, or not so much. You can have everything kind of turned off if you want, or just all the same color. But yeah, whenever I use this button now, I don't know if you can see that in the channel focus section, but when I press that button, it's toggling the high pass filter on and off. And if I press and hold, it's going to turn on this feature called group monitor outputs, and you can see all of those output tiles kind of highlighted. And what that does is it's an easy way to feed the same mix to all of your monitoring output paths with just a single button click. So when you're tracking, you might want to have separate cue mixes set up for all your different outputs, right? But when you're mixing, you're typically just going to want to hear the same mix on all your outputs. You know, you might listen on your speakers, and then you might want to switch to headphones and hear your mix in your headphones. Well, turning that option on is just an easy way to send the same output mix to all outputs.
Yep. Okay.
Uh, Yep. Open up your preferences. You know, you really can kind of customize this to do whatever you want. And there's one other question that came up about the knobs. So the knobs are illuminated, those two large rotary encoders. But you have the option actually just to turn that off if you don't want the knobs uh, illuminated, or you can actually turn the brightness down so you could have it really low. So those are some preferences.
Very customizable.
Very customizable.
Awesome. And then just, I know we're running over time, but I have a few questions still. John, some important things. So the first one is, can I use the Mbox control without a PC, maybe an iPhone or an iPad or a tablet?
At this point, no. It's only it's an app, a computer app, either Mac or Windows. So yeah, you would need to use that.
Yep. But the good thing is it does work on Windows and Mac.
It does work on Windows and Mac, and yeah, and it works with anything.
Yep.
It
Awesome.
really works with Pro Tools, but it does work with
Nice.
other apps.
Awesome. So then we have another question here. Can the talkback feature be integrated in a remote record application like Source Connect?
I'm not sure how you would do that. I mean, it shows up as an input. So when you're in Pro Tools, or anywhere where you can see the inputs, you can route it to an input. So I believe I don't know, Gil, maybe I don't know if you could answer that one with Source Connect. If you can I think you can route any input to it, can't you?
Sorry, I was straightening up some questions. Yes, so the talkback mic is just another input source in your DAW. So when you open up Source Connect and you go in, as long as it can be assigned to any one of those 21 inputs, you can then route the talkback mic to Source Connect.
Cool. Well, thanks, Gil.
Thank you. And then another question is it possible to separately have the 8 outputs from Pro Tools and also another 8 separate outs going to ADAT?
So when you're in Pro Tools, what you will see for outputs will be these internal 1 through 8. So these are like your software sends that show up in Mbox control here. So there are 8. So if you could send them to the 8 outputs as well as to other analog outputs all simultaneously, yes. But it is 8. You have 8.
Yeah, awesome. So I think that's it. We are over time a little bit as well, John. Amir, Matt, thank you so much for today. That was awesome. Thank you so much. John, any last words that
Thank
you wanted to tell everyone or anyone?
Thank you for everybody for tuning in. This was great. Amir, Matt, thank you so much. The
Thank
new
you.
tune is great, and thank you for sharing that with us, and making it part of the Mbox Studio launch.
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
A lot
Our
of fun.
pleasure.
Definitely.
Thank you, guys.
Also, no, thank you. And John, thank you so much as well. I think there's a lot more content coming out in the future. And yeah, any questions? Anyone out there? Just head over to our website. There's tons of stuff there. YouTube. And yeah, and thank you so much for joining today. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Happy holidays, everyone.
And happy holidays.
See you later.
Bye.
Take care, everyone.